On your Wednesday episode of Locked On Raptors, whether you're at a slumber party or on this stupid podcast, there's nothing better than a little game of Would You Rather among friends.
You are Locked On Raptors, your daily Toronto Raptors podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what's going on? And welcome to another episode of Locked On Raptors. It is Wednesday, August the 26th, and I'm your host, your pal, Sean Woodley. Thanks for hanging as always. And the Kawhi Leonard investigation is still not complete. Day 47 of waiting for Kawhi to once again officially become a Toronto Raptor. We got to be getting close. We have to be like over halfway at least by this point, you'd hope. All right, on today's show, we're playing a stupid little game. It is Would You Rather. Very simple. I throw out two disparate options related to a topic. We discuss which of those options we would prefer to come to pass in the future, near or far. And here to play one of our favorite stupid little games is our favorite stupid little gamesman. You're not stupid. You play the stupid little games. You're very smart at the stupid little games. It all makes sense. It's Vivek Jacob. Big V, what's up, pal?
Nothing much, man. I'm ready to go. We got stupid little games trying to get us through the summer.
Oh, God. I need to come up with more. There's still so much time left.
Well, it's starting to feel like fall outside, so hopefully we are getting closer to the end of this Kawhi saga.
You texted this to me yesterday after I had just been outside in like 30-degree weather. What are you talking about? How is it fall?
once the lows start hitting the teens, it means fall is coming. All right.
Sure. All right. Sure. Okay, let's move on from that and play Would You Rather. And let's start off with a big, juicy one here, Big V. Would you rather number one? We all agree that if Kawhi Leonard comes to the Raptors, it's, we're kind of looking at a 3-year window, assuming that there's a couple-year extension handed out on top of the year left he has on his contract. And so with that in mind, with this 3-year window in mind, would you rather the Raptors make the playoffs only once in the next 3 seasons with Kawhi Leonard, but they make the finals and lose in that playoff run? Or would you rather the Raptors make the playoffs in all 3 years of the Kawhi window, but only ever cap out at one Eastern Conference final? Big V, I think people will probably know where I come down on this one, but I'm curious where you're at with this one to kick things off.
Yeah, so I think this is an interesting one. You always do such a great job in terms of the two options. And effectively with the first one, you're saying that Kawhi basically is injured for the other 2 seasons because to not make the playoffs, I think the team would have to be in some sort of disarray, and that would start with Kawhi being hurt a lot, which is a plausible scenario. And so if you get that one run to the finals versus the kind of more perennial success of reaching the playoffs in each of those 3 years, but going no further than the conference finals, I think I will take the consistency.
There you go. The correct answer. Yeah.
I think as much as, that finals run would be incredible, I think the 2 other seasons just being Kawhi not available and not making the playoffs at all would really, really suck. So, you can kind of, if you lose a second round series to the Knicks, sometimes that's just the way the matchups work out, where you get one of those great teams earlier than the conference finals, or so if it just plays out that way, it is what it is. I'd rather kind of live with that. I mean, obviously, if there was a scenario where you win the chip, you take that all the time. But
that's why it's not one of the options. I knew that would be what you would take. I'm good at this.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, in a scenario where you're losing anyway, I'll take the more consistent success.
Okay. If I were to change it to, if you the 3 years, one you make the finals, the other 2 you lose in the first round but make the playoffs, would that change your calculus on this at all?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay.
I
So you're
think
fine to just have two nasty first round outs where they get pasted by, I don't know, the Pacers or something. But the 1 year where they make it to the finals and again lose.
Yeah, I mean, so to be honest, like this first year, I could still see it being a bit of a growing pains year in terms of being a contender, right?
Sure.
Uh, like we got to see where Jamal Shed is with that, where Jacoby Walter is with that, where even Quickly and RJ and Yak are with that, right? Like they're all gonna have to elevate to a level that they might not quite be ready for in terms of being a true blue contender. So if that amounted to, flirting with 50 wins and then getting a tough first round matchup because this is a tougher Eastern Conference, and you bow out, and then, you have another run, a similar kind of go at it next year, or maybe next year is the finals run. Like I would take that. I think there's more there than just missing the playoffs entirely.
Yeah, it's honestly why I go with the make the playoffs all 3 years and, make one Eastern Conference Finals and cap out there. I think, if that happens, it means you've gotten to watch 3 seasons of probably a reasonably healthy Kawhi Leonard, or the team doing Herculean things to overcome Kawhi Leonard not being healthy, which would also be fun in its own right. And look, I know, people sort of point at me as being the loser who doesn't care about championships anymore or whatever. Like, I don't. They won one in my lifetime. I'm cool to just chill for the rest of time if that's what the cards are that are handed to me. And if I can get a couple of fun playoff series every year, I'm down for that. Get some playoff memories, get some moments like RJ's, buzzer beater in a series that they lost. Don't care. That moment's going to stand forever. I think just being in the playoffs gives you the opportunity to have those kinds of moments. I mean, we still talk about the game 3 OG Anunoby buzzer beater on the Kyle Lowry pass over Taco Fall in the bubble in a series that they ended up losing in 7. Like it's these, just being in the playoffs puts you in the mix to have moments like that go down in the history books. And, I just think as well, I think a team I'd kind of compare this to is the Wolves with the Rudy Gobert trade, right? Where, they're probably not going to win a championship. They're probably not going to get past an Eastern or Western Conference final. They made 2 of them to their credit, and it had some like banger series in there. But I don't think anyone's looking at that trade now and saying it's a failure because they didn't win the championship. And I think you have to just kind of, if you want to be sane and happy as a sports fan, you have to remove yourself from title or bust thinking, because it's going to leave you depressed more often than not to a pretty substantial degree. And so, yeah, if you can have a good run of 3 years of competitive hoop where, you make an Eastern Conference final, maybe that Eastern Conference final goes 6 or 7 and it's compelling and entertaining, and you feel like you have the hope that you might make the finals and get pasted by Wemby in the finals. Like it's I just think it's a worthwhile endeavor as a fan to go through that year over year over year. I would take the run of 2016, 17, 18 for the Raptors all day long over pretty much any stretch in Raptors history, even with the bad losses to LeBron James in those seasons. You won playoff series. You had a conference finals run. We were all hooting and hollering during a lot of that in the regular season as well. Like the 6 months of the regular season matter. It's like half of our lives we spent watching regular season hoop. And in the second scenario here that we both prefer, you get a lot of good regular season hoop out of the Kawhi Leonard Raptors over the next 3 seasons. And I think that would, I guess, let me ask you this, like, would you deem that a success of the Kawhi era if they make, say, 2 second rounds in an Eastern Conference Finals, but never get past that over the next 3 seasons? Would you define that as a successful sort of justification of the trade for Kawhi?
I feel like there's so many variables that go into that.
Yeah,
Like in
sure.
terms of who they'd be losing to, and like what, like, is it a situation
You're
where
giving me a Wolfond answer here, man. Come on.
we're spending too much time together between the writing and the tennis and
Where's my takes? Where are my takes from Big V? Come on.
all right. I I think I'd still consider it a success because I think it'd still be above, like that ceiling would still be above what they'd maybe be capable of with Brandon Ingram.
Sure. Yeah.
And so from that standpoint, I'd consider it a success. Just coming back to the original question, I think that's a good comp with the Wolves. I think I'd also use the Clippers as a comp. And,
Sure.
When you look at what they've had in the Kawhi era, obviously they got to the conference finals once, but that was when Kawhi was injured. So I think if you were to take the last few years of the Clippers where, 22 no playoffs, 23, 24, 25 all first round exits, and you were to say, hey, would you rather have had just like one run to the finals and take away that conference finals? I think they'd all say yes, right?
Sure.
So I think when I look at that too, I'm like, okay, ultimately the goal with Kawhi is to kind of taste that NBA finals again. And, like you said, if you end up losing to Wemby, if you end up losing to Shea, like there's no real shame in that. So, yeah, I think to get another Eastern Conference title would be pretty cool.
So you're flipping your answer and you would prefer the one run to the finals then is what you're saying.
If we're including, I think this is kind of including your adjustment.
The two first round exits.
Okay, two first round exits.
I was gonna say flip flopping on me here. That's not Wolfbond like. Okay. No, I think it's a good point. I do think like the Clippers and Raptors in these situations are different because the Raptors have a championship and the Clippers are the saddest franchise this side of the Kings, and so. I think maybe they would kind of prefer that one taste of glory, whereas I think, I'm still, satiated by the title for now. And I just like kind of want to watch good hoop after a lot of years in the wilderness before this past season. But yeah, it's certainly a decent point, even though it's, you're flip flopping all over the place like a damn fish on this deck here. Yeah, we'll come back. We're going to continue on, and we'll see if Big V answers yes to both of the options in the second option that I'm going to throw out here for Would You Rather. We'll do that coming up in just 1 second. Today's show is brought to you by Indeed. Support for today's episode comes from Indeed Sponsored Jobs. When workplace chaos hits, need the right hire. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps connect employers with candidates who match specific needs like skills, certifications, and locations. So less time gets spent searching and more time gets spent finding the right fit. People are finding quality hires on Indeed all the damn time. And the minute I'll be talking to you here, companies like yours will make 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. I have been a hiring manager before. It's a very hard job, and there's a lot of pressure. You want to get it right, and if you get it wrong, you can set your whole company back. That's not a good place to be, especially if you're the person who does the hiring. People are going to start looking at you being like, dude, what's going on? Why aren't you hiring the right people? And so if you want to hire the right people, make it streamlined, make it easy, make it so the best candidates are appearing in front of your face and are able to apply the jobs easy and find them easily. Sponsored Jobs is the way to go. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed here on Locked On Raptors. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Back at it here with Big V as we continue to play Would You Rather, and we're going to go to, I think, a hot topic among Toronto Raptors fans these days. Obviously, the Kawhi thing is the big bit of business for the team still hanging over everything, but there is a big bit of business the Raptors can conduct if they so choose before the season starts, and it has to do with RJ Barrett and a potential extension as he goes into the final year of his contract. He is extension eligible up until the start of the season. So would you rather, Big V, the Raptors extend RJ Barrett for 4 years, $140 million, so $35 million a year before the season, get it out of the way, get that cost certainty, or take him to UFA and take their chances at keeping him for something less than that? I think there's arguments on both sides of this one. I think RJ Barrett is primed to be very good in this team context this coming season and could perhaps inflate his value around the league. I also think if you are looking around the league at the way cap space gets used or the lack the lack of cap space getting used over the last handful of years in the NBA, I think if you're the Raptors, you might talk yourself into, well, we could probably get him for less than 35 a year if he hits the open market. We got his bird rights. He wants to be here. All of those factors at play. And there's also the idea of, hey, just get it locked in now. Yes, 35 is a lot, but maybe it ages well. He looks very good on this team, and you feel pretty good about him making a smidge over Emmanuel Quickley money, and you go forward and figure out the cap and the books from there. You might even have to pay the tax. Oh no, pay the tax. What a nightmare that would be for the billion-dollar conglomerates that own the Raptors. Anyway, Big V, would you rather get it squared away, 4 years, 140 for RJ before the season starts, or take him to UFA and take their chances? What you got for me?
Yeah, you are a smart man with this one. You know that everyone's trying to get these 3-year deals done. You've thrown in the extra year, which I think in terms of annual value, that 35 mil is sounds about right. But the extra year complicates things, especially when you think about how it would potentially line up with a Kawhi extension and all of that. So I think putting on the GM hat, knowing how Bobby Webster likes to operate, it's probably going down the line of taking this to unrestricted free agency and saying, okay, you know what, we will. That 1 year extra is a bit much, a bit steep for us, so we're going to take this down to the wire, and we'll figure it out, and we'll take our chances with everything else that might be out there.
Yeah, I lean towards I would rather them just take their chances going to UFA as well, knowing that, again, they have the inside track. RJ has declared many times that he wants to be here. And, as much as it's ghoulish to use that as leverage, that's what you have to do when you're running a front office. Thankfully, that's not my job. I'm just here to comment it on from my seat. But I think the other thing, too, is just like it keeps you flexible, right? It avoids totally, jamming up your books and kind of cementing what your roster is. You haven't seen this team play together yet. I think RJ is going to be nails on this team, but things happen and fits are not always just going to happen the exact way you expect them to play out on paper. And so I think they should get a look at what this team looks like before making decisions. And if RJ Barrett is playing well and is on an expiring contract this season, he also becomes an interesting piece by which you can try to find an upgrade if you get to the deadline and think, hey, like we're a piece away. We're maybe like a major center upgrade or something like that away. Maybe Jakob Poeltl's taking a big step and you feel good about him starting. Maybe you want to find a way to start Collin Murray-Boyles in some sort of unorthodox way where Kawhi is your 2 guard or something. Like I think it just gives you more options come deadline time as far as what you can do. And it's not to say that RJ won't be tradable on a $35 million a year contract going forward either. Although I do think, as soon as you sign that contract, your tradability goes down for a little bit because of the years on the deal. And so, yeah, I'm cool to just ride it out, though I do understand wanting to just kind of lock it in. Is there a number, like an annual value? You said the 3 years, so, we can throw that out there too. But on like an annual value, is there like a number where you'd be like, okay, that's too good a deal to not lock this in before the season starts?
Too good a deal? Yeah, I think pretty much anything under 90, the Raptors would be foolish.
For 3 years, yeah.
For 3 years.
So basically 30 mil AAV or under, you're just kind of doing it.
Yeah. I think that would be a no-brainer for what RJ brings to the team, with not just on the court, but from a leadership standpoint. The way he's kind of course corrected the reputation that the league has kind of given him, and I expect him to fit into this team quite well. And so if he's able to show those things, I believe he's a playoff dog from what we've seen. Like all of those things together, I'd be, if there was anything under 90, I'd absolutely be, trying to get pen to paper no matter what on that. I think I'd probably still be willing to go as high as 110, where I feel comfortable. I feel pretty confident. And then after that, it's like, okay. And then, once you start to get to that 115, 120 and above, then it's like, then you really got to weigh like, okay, maybe we just take this to free agency.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're giving him 40 a year. I'd be pretty
Yeah.
shocked considering the way their salary structure works and where Scotty's at and where Kawhi figures to be. Like, he's going to slot in somewhere, around where IQ is, a little bit above, a little bit below, probably below only if there's a hometown discount situation. As much as I think IQ is, kind of a comparable player in terms of overall impact, I think that, counting stats and everything will probably drive RJ's price up a little bit. And the playoffs were pretty good showing for him as well. Yeah, I just, it's wonderful to think about the idea of him taking a hometown discount. If he's taking Jakob Poeltl money, I think his agent probably should be fired. So we'll, I do think this probably for not just RJ, for the Raptors purposes, but for RJ's purposes as well, I think probably takes it to UFA. And look, ultimately, you get to UFA, I would bet the Raptors end up getting RJ back for somewhere around that 30 to 35 a year, and they figure it out from there. So if that's what it's going to eventually lead to anyway, due to market factors, there's no need to rush it right now, I don't think. We'll come back, Big V, and close things out with a would you rather about a topic that everyone's very normal about, Jakob Poeltl, starting center. We will do that coming up in just 1 second. Wrapping things up here with our final Would You Rather of this Wednesday episode of Locked On Raptors. Just a reminder, Thursday, Katie Hyde will be along. We'll have a mailbag. It'll be lots of fun. Lots of questions about the Kyle Lowry-themed logo that's floating around out there. Not enough butt on that thing for my liking, but we'll talk about that tomorrow, I'm sure. Okay, last Would You Rather, Big V. Would you rather Collin Murray-Boyles be the everyday starter for the Raptors at the 5 this season, with Jakob Poeltl playing 20 to 25 minutes as a pure straight backup, or Jakob Poeltl starts and plays 25 to 30 minutes while Collin Murray-Boyles gets used as a super sub? I think there are a lot of opinions that there about Jakob Poeltl, I think, among the Raptors fan base, ranging from he's fine to, send this guy out to sea and let's never see him again. That's not going to happen. He's going to be on the basketball team. And for me, that is why I think just starting him and playing him like a regular load of minutes, seeing what he can provide for you, is the way to go here, and use Collin Murray-Boyles as a guy who just blows up other teams when he comes into the game. Maybe you shelter him a little bit too, playing against second units early on. You don't want to put too much on a guy in year 2, despite how encouraging year 1 was. Blah, 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 blah. Development's not linear, blah, blah, blah. Blake Murphy, blah, blah, blah. And so, yeah, when it comes to this one, I just think starting Yak is going to happen. Also, there's reason to believe it could be quite good. The starters last year with Yak and Brandon Ingram were fantastic, and you're replacing Brandon Ingram with Kawhi Leonard. I think they'll be even more fantastic, I say. And so, yeah, I think it's a no-brainer for me. You got to go into the season planning to try to get something substantial out of Yak, and I think the best way to do that is to just start him. But reasonable people can disagree. What you got for me on this one, Big V? What would you rather, start Yak or make him the pure backup?
We are on the same page, brother.
Boring.
Yeah, I mean, look, even from a trade standpoint, like if you come into the season with Yak coming off the bench, then you're putting yourself in a bad spot to max out on the return that you could possibly get for him, right? Like you're pretty much waving the white flag on like what you believe he is as a player. So I think coming into this season, I mean, Bobby's already said once that the plan is for CMB to come off the bench. So I do think that's what they'll go with. And yeah, you just have to kind of cross your fingers and hope that Yak's back is good to go and that he can be the player he was 2 seasons ago, which was very impactful. And we saw that on the court. We saw that in the numbers. So yeah, you hope that that's the case. And in terms of the way he's able to free guys up with his screen setting, the way he's able to protect the rim, all of that could be really valuable. So yeah, I think it helps CMB kind of just level up. I mentioned before, in terms of Shed, Walter, those guys having to possibly have some growing pains in what a contender level looks like. CMB is going to have that too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it makes sense to ease him into it. Is it something that becomes more of a conversation, say, come the trade deadline, where it's like now he's put together this body of work where it feels like, okay, he's really nudging here for a starting spot? Then you maybe get into some kind of discussion, especially if you're at the trade deadline and you're not able to get anything for Yak. Then I think it becomes a discussion. But right now, absolutely, I'm going with Yak.
Yeah, and look, I think there's value to Collin Murray-Boyles being the guy who comes in as the change of pace, right? Like I think, you don't have to go with your best look from the jump of every single game. And I think if you kind of pace yourself over 48 minutes, the best way to do that is to have a really good starting lineup with Poeltl, which I think, again, they're going to be really good. I don't think there's any way they're not a really good starting lineup that puts up big numbers and wins their minutes by a lot. And then you have this just demon coming off the bench to completely blow up other teams' second units and make their lives hell. And then you can sprinkle them in with staggered lineups with your starters. You can close with him and go small in the minutes that matter the most at the end of games. Like it's a tale as old as time. We overthink starting versus finishing and what we think is more important. Obviously, it's nice to appear on the graphic before the game when Matt Devlin runs through the starting lineup. But like ultimately, I don't think that's necessary here to get the best out of Collin Murray-Boyles this season. And I do, again, think some element of sheltering him from those really, like, you're going to throw him up against every starting center in the NBA, like just to jump in from the start this season. That feels like a way to set him up for failure as well. So, I'm pretty staunchly opposed to the idea of Jakob Poeltl just being a bench big right now. Talk to me in a few months and we'll see how things are going. But I think at this point, you just have to go into the season thinking you can get something out of it. And frankly, I think the conversation has gone way too far negative on Jakob Poeltl. Am I like certain that his back is just going to hold up forever? No. Is he a perfect player? No. Has he taken a step back on defense? Absolutely. Is he still a helpful, good NBA player? Totally. And I think if you just divorce him from the contract, which hard to do, but also you kind of have to if you're going to stay sane, still a helpful basketball player that I think people have just kind of written off entirely. And I don't know if that's entirely fair, but I don't know. Maybe you have. I don't know. What do you think about that?
No, I mean, I think you're right. I think it has gone too far south. I think that, right now you would very much rather, at the very least, rebuild Yak's value. And so, yeah, I think you take your chances with McKechnie the way you're taking your chances with McKechnie with Kawhi. And yeah, hopefully it's double trouble with both Yak and Kawhi being healthy. Hopefully Kawhi is a Raptor. And yeah, we get this show on the road.
Yeah, man. And hopefully Yak's doing like squats or whatever back exercises he's doing to strengthen up the old spinal cord. We're going to leave it there. Big V, always a pleasure, pal. Anything you want to promote for the good people out there?
Usual stuff. Raptors in 7, Yahoo Canada. You can follow it all at Vivek M. Jacob.
Yeah, go do it, huh? It's great. You can find me at the Discord, link in the description of the podcast. Come hang out. We're talking ball in there all the time and also talking not ball. A lot of Burger King versus Wendy's talk going on. Burger King, it's taking the crown, baby. And I don't know, other stuff that we're talking about, movies and TV shows, and our fantasy league is kicking up. If you want to be part of that, I think there's some spots available. Hop on in. There might not be. I might have just made a false promise, but I'm not the commissioner, so it's not my problem. And so we got that going on. We'll be back again Thursday with Katie Heindel. Next week, we're going to chat with our pal Trill Brodude as we continue our whip around the Eastern Conference and talk about the Sixers. We're also going to get John Corrales on the show to talk about the Celtics. So that's going to be fun. Lots ahead as we gear up to get into September very, very soon here on the pod, which means Media Day is just around the corner, which means preseason basketball is just around the corner from that, which means real basketball that we can actually care about is a few corners away, but still relative. We can start to see the many corners on the horizon. We'll leave it there. Thanks so much for hanging. Talk soon. Bye-bye. Bang. Hey.